I'm so excited to talk to you today about the most important assets you have. So let's not waste any time. Let's get started. I want you to know that when I was younger, I had so many things I wanted to do in life. I wanted to do this and try this and learn a new language and read this book and travel to that country. I had so many ideas of what I thought God might have for me to do that I thought I'd get them all done at one time. And unfortunately, that led me to have some real issues in my family. I wasn't spending enough time with my family. So when I sat back and looked at my priorities, I also went back and looked at my life. And I said to myself, Eric, you've got so many things that you're passionate about, but you don't have to get them all done at one time. However, you do need to record them so you don't forget, because God gives us those passions in our heart and then He draws us to them. So I used a common spreadsheet, and across the top, I put various types or topics of things that I'd like to do. For example, what would I like to invest in? Places I'd like to visit, languages I'd like to learn. Honestly, sports I'd like to try out. And I put those themes across the top. And then on the left column, I put my life from 30 to 35 to 40 to 50. And then I just started dumping in information, things that I think God had put on my heart to do, try, see, hear, learn, and be a part of. And I just kept using this spreadsheet as a repository for my passions and my thoughts. I realized then I didn't have to do everything at one time. I just needed to do it during my lifetime. And it gave me a sense of peace and took away the anxiety of trying to get everything done at one time. It also freed me up time to spend with my family, knowing maybe one of these days God would have me do something that was on my list. The crazy thing was I had so many things I wanted to do that I ran out of time. I figured I would die when I turned 80, and I had too many things left over to get done. So I used my spreadsheet and just extended my life to 140 to get it all done. Now, physically, that may not happen, but on a spreadsheet, it doesn't take very much. So on this spreadsheet, which I call really my life plan, is all the stuff that I think God has put on my heart to think about and maybe He'd have me do. I'll give you one example. When I was younger, our kids were young, and I really wanted to do a lot of traveling, but I realized traveling overseas away from my family was going to be very, very difficult. So I thought to myself, well, let's just travel in Texas. So the plan was to stay in Texas, and we did that. We got to camp in a lot of different campgrounds. I took my son to all the forts in West Texas, went to Paldero Canyon, showed my daughters Paldero Canyon, and at the same time, realizing that passion was still there and it was still on my life plan. Someday, maybe, I'd be able to visit other places in the world. But God will shock you and surprise you because He has other plans too. Within 1 year from me making the life plan, God allowed me to go visit not only London, but to go to South Africa and Swaziland for 10 days. That was not in the plan. But He gave me a little bit of a glimpse to a different culture throughout the world that I was able to enjoy and at the same time take care of my family as well. But it wasn't just London or South Africa or going to visit Swaziland. God had other plans too. Within the next year, I was in South Korea. I got to visit Suwon, Daejeon. I got to go to Seoul. And if you've ever been through the airport, the largest airport probably in the world in Seoul, South Korea, it's amazing. And I would tell you, I was shocked at the complexity of our world and the amazing people that I got to bump into along the way. But not only that, I was able to visit Japan and Tokyo and see the immense number of individuals living in Tokyo and the love and the passion that they have for their country, as well as their quiet demeanor. When I got into a taxi, when I got into a subway in Tokyo, it was completely quiet. Nobody was talking, everybody was still. I loved my experience in Japan, but I never even had it on the list. And then, the year later, I was able to visit China. Went to Shanghai, went to Hong Kong, and got to visit Wuhan. You talk about a complex country with amazing people. China's a wonderful place to visit. But China wasn't even on my list until I turned about 60. But God has other plans for us many times. And I share that with you because I hope you'll make a life plan and you'll put those things on that list, not just because it's a repository, but I want you to see God's hand work throughout your life as He moves you from airport to airport, from place to place, from situation to situation. God's hand is on your life, and He does have a plan for you. He has a plan for your life and for you to have it more abundantly. And I'm proof positive that you can make plans, but God has even greater plans than that. I hope you've enjoyed the time we've been able to spend together, because your time in your life is valuable. It's valuable to me, but more importantly, it's valuable to Him. He doesn't want you to waste it. He wants you to invest it well. He wants you to spend your time wisely. And He wants to make sure that you use your most important gift that He gave you, your time.